Hello SEDS members, and welcome to a brief update on this year's Ascend payload. We're just a few days from launch now. I'm here in the SEDS office, and I'd like to go over the electronics inside this payload and the process we went through to put it all together, and then give you some details on Saturday's launch, what that's going to be like. So let's get started by looking at this left side here with the first prototype build that we did. We 3D printed this shell after designing it in SolidWorks. This is the same housing essentially, same print we did for the current payload, for the one that's actually going to be flying. This one let us look at some of the dimensions we needed to modify though. Didn't really do a whole lot with this, but it gave us an idea of what the payload size would look like. And so over here you can see pretty much all of the parts integrated on the actual payload itself. I'm using the GoPro right now to film this video, but here's how we're going to mount this, just on the back side of the payload housing here. Basically just use the GoPro packaging on the inside there so that I can attach the GoPro via this sliding mount, so that we can get some good footage where, from the launch. We're going to probably run a time warp, which is like a time lapse, except it uses video capture instead of taking pictures every few minutes. Mainly due to battery life and storage, since it's going to be flying for about 2 hours, and the GoPro will have to be continuing to record until we find the payload and turn it off. Hopefully we'll be able to get some interesting and good looking footage to upload to the YouTube channel as well. Up top here you can see two sets of electronics. Right here is the BME 680. That's going to be our pressure, temperature, gas sensor, humidity as well. So that's going to give us some good data on the atmosphere thinning out as we get up to 100,000 feet. And then these two components here are the Geiger counters. So we're going to see if we can get some measurements of cosmic radiation. We won't be getting through the ionosphere. That's at about 250,000 feet at the lowest point. And so there may not be a crazy amount of electromagnetic radiation that we can pick up. We're still well inside Earth's magnetic field at 100,000 feet, but nevertheless, we'll see what we can get. We'll still be in the thinner parts of the atmosphere, so there shouldn't be as much atmospheric shielding from particles coming in. We'll see what we can get from those. It's the second time we're running these Geiger counters, but the first payload failed last year due to an electronics issue. So we're running them again, and we'll see if we can actually get some data from them. Inside here you can see kind of the rat's nest of wiring that we had to go through in order to connect all of these components. We originally had a printed circuit board built for this payload to simplify everything, but because of this new part here, the OpenLog Artemis, we can't use that printed circuit board anymore. SparkFun released this new part to replace the old processor that we were intending to use, and so we had to go through all of this, include an Arduino back there, so that we can actually get data from the Geiger counters and the BME 680 and record that onto the OpenLog Artemis is what this one's called now. So it's just got an SD card in there. It's going to give us recordings of all the data that come in from these components. And then on this inside piece, the drawer that slides into the main housing, we've got our power sources, a couple of batteries, 3.7 volt LiPo batteries. One of them is going to be powering this transmitter back here. That's going to be giving some GPS data and other small bits of data to the APRS receivers that are around the state. One of our team members is going to be accessing that data live while the payload's flying, so we can actually have something going on while the balloon is heading up in the atmosphere, instead of just trying to watch the balloon and wait for it to pop. So there's something active we can do with that. The batteries, there's one plug that's underneath there going to a power boost board. There's another power boost inside here. So there's only going to be one connector from this other battery that runs from this part into the housing. That's not originally how we wanted it to go. We wanted all of the electronics to be on here, but once again, because we couldn't have everything integrated onto a single printed circuit board, we had to make do with what we've got in terms of real estate here. On this back side, you can see kind of the cooler part of the payload, remove before flight. This is just a switch to the battery that starts to power everything. Once that gets clicked on, power's going to run to all these sensors, and we'll start to get some data on there. And then as soon as we turn that off at the end of the day, once we get back to the payload, those components will stop recording data, and then we'll be able to analyze that. Right here is just an antenna for that radio transmitter, so that'll allow the APRS towers to pick up any signals we let out. And then as far as the day of launch, here are some of the components that we're going to be using. This lamp rod, it's just a 3/8 inch lamp rod you can find at Home Depot. It'll run through the center hole here inside the housing, so that can get attached to a line that runs up to the balloon. Essentially the balloon's going to be up here. We've got our payload on here, and then the line continues down to run to the other payloads for all the other colleges that are going to be on the flight this Saturday. And we've got a couple of radios there. We're going to be using those to talk to the ANSR people. ANSR is Arizona Near Space Research, ANSR. They've got all the equipment to launch the balloons, and we use them every semester to work on Ascend. This will be, I think, Ascend 39, 38 or 39, one of the two. So they've been doing this for a long time. And then just a scale here, we've got to be under 3.5 pounds. The latest measurement that I've gotten puts us at just about 2.5 pounds, which is exactly the estimate that I gave to ANSR so that they can run their pre-flight predictions. And so hopefully we can get an accurate prediction and not have to drive too far to pick up the payload. But in any case, that's a good run-through of the payload. If you have any questions, leave comments on the YouTube video or send us an email, arizonasays@gmail.com, and we'll get an answer to you. And thank you for watching.